Oh, ARMS. It seems like we hardly knew you. I was pretty intrigued from your announcement trailer, and I gotta say, the fact that your story is that people woke up one day with squiggly arms and decided to fight is hilarious. I love it. But your pre-release hype seemed to dwindle to moderate buzz when you came out, and after about a month or so, turned into radio silence. You had an original idea and polished presentation. So what exactly happened, and why did everyone abandon ship? Well, let's talk about it. I actually really enjoyed playing ARMS for a couple of hours. Battles are fast and flashy, and movement is pretty smooth overall, though I could never really get used to the motion controls. Deciding between punching, grabbing, or blocking while dodging around the ring was a ton of fun, especially playing against friends. Switching up the pace with minigames like volleyball or hoops were welcome additions as well, but I think the main reasons people have moved on from playing ARMS can be split into two categories: lack of content and repetition, or lack of variety. In relation to most other fighting games, I don't think ARMS is out of the norm in what it offers. It has a decent Grand Prix for single player, and after release they've even added another character, Max Brass, who looks like Johnny Bravo if he were a superhero, and the new Headlock mode where you can gain an additional 4 arms to pummel your opponent into submission. This is even more fun than the regular battles. But I think part of the problem is that we've been spoiled with other Nintendo properties and how much content they provide. Super Smash Bros. Is a great example, with the latest installment having over 50 characters, most with completely unique movesets, and back in Brawl, a lengthy single-player campaign in the Subspace Emissary. A huge assortment of items and stages could keep the party scene entertained for hundreds of hours, while the complexity of combat has fueled a thriving competitive community for well over a decade. So it's easy to take a look at ARMS and be underwhelmed. I think the depth of battles is there, but the amount of stuff to do is more akin to the first Smash Bros. Installment, and we're just used to seeing more on the table nowadays. But I think this is only further magnified by the repetition and lack of variety in the gameplay. It sort of masks it underneath a plethora of different arms to choose from and a modestly sized roster, but essentially the moment-to-moment actions are exactly the same. Whether you have hammers, rockets, or giant boxing gloves for arms, you're gonna move and punch. Whether you're a ninja, robot cop, or mummy man, you're gonna move and punch. Like I said, I still found ARMS fun to play, but I could see how the initial charm would wear off quickly. This is probably best exemplified by comparing it to Nintendo's other newest IP and latest entry, Splatoon 2. Now, I never played Splatoon 1, so this was a whole new experience to me, but I'll spare you the lowdown on how inherently fun Splatoon's movement and combat is. Just know that it is. Instead, let's take a look at what exactly is offered in the Squid Kids' newest outing. Obviously, there's regular online battles, including Turf War and ranked matches for those of a higher level, but there's also a single-player mode, which at first seemed a little dull, but as you progress, they add new obstacles and elements to every stage, making for some really fun moments as you learn how to use different weapons and move more effectively. Not to mention, there are some killer boss fights here, like destroying a giant toaster oven, or fighting an octo ninja riding a unicycle. Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Perhaps the coolest new addition, however, is Salmon Run, where you take on waves of enemy fish while trying to collect orbs as a team of 4. You must work together to stay alive and fight through tons of different bosses that require specific techniques to defeat. This was my favorite mode by far. On top of all this, there's a bustling hub world to walk around, and buy upgrades, read other players' Miiverse posts, and play minigames in. I also really enjoyed how the single-player hub was more than just a level select screen, but rather a little puzzle island to discover where to go next. This helps Splatoon 2 feel like a real place, and that there's much more to do at any given moment. But again, unlike ARMS, this is enhanced by Splatoon's array of weapons, which significantly change up how you play the game. Depending on the loadout you choose, you might be up close and personal rolling down your enemies, or lay back and shoot from afar. You might focus on the mayhem at the front lines, or instead spend your time painting the walls around the edges of the arena. The different tactics you can use to win a game of Splatoon are so much more intricate than ARMS, because there's simply a lot more going on. And perhaps the coolest part is that the other game modes are designed to help you learn the best way to use the weapons at your disposal. In single player, they've built certain stages around having a specific gun, and teach you how to wield it effectively. And once you've completed these levels, you can use the weapon freely. Salmon Run does something similar, killer, as you're only allowed 4 predetermined guns each day, and it changes your loadout at the start of every new wave, so you have to stay on your toes and switch up your tactics all the time. What's With Games has a great video on why this is so important for learning how to be a better Splatoon player. Check it out in the description below. My whole point is that not only is there more content from the get-go in Splatoon, but the actual gameplay itself is more intriguing and involved than ARMS. And what's interesting is there are still many things I dislike about Splatoon 2. There isn't any way to practice regular matches against bots. Even though AI does exist for some of the single-player missions, this is something ARMS excels at. Plus, Splatoon has a weird schedule system where only a few stages are available per day, and Salmon Run is only open for certain hours at a time. But even so, at least in its current state, it seems like ARMS just doesn't have enough content or variety to hold our attention. That being said, I'd love to hear what you think. Does ARMS have lasting potential, or did it fail to deliver? Did people quit playing because it got boring, or is it just because there are so many other phenomenal games this year? Tell me in the comment section below, and let's talk about it. Don't get me wrong, I love that Nintendo is willing to try new things, and I encourage them to push boundaries with IPs in the future. I think that's why we've gotten awesome titles like Splatoon 2. But I hope that we'll see games like ARMS have a little more under the hood to keep us enticed in the future, because it's a really solid experience that I fear may just go to waste. Hey guys, thanks for watching. A huge thanks to my Patreon supporters who keep the show running. If you ever want to help support the show, you can follow the link on screen. Also, be sure to follow me on Twitter for updates on upcoming projects, or also join the Snowman Gaming Discord server in the description to talk about all things gaming with me and a bunch of awesome people. I'll see you guys next time. Stay frosty, my friends.